I'm coming, just a minute. Good lord, stop ringing. Hello, Robert Stavel's office? Oh, hello sir. Yes, they are progressing more or less on target. A few minor hiccups, but we're almost there. What do you mean cancelled? I've already had 2 built and another well on the way. I'm working as fast as I can. I've got the shed rebuild going on as well, you know. And another unannounced arrival in the workshop. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. It will be done. Goodbye, sir. The morning of Redwick Cathedral's arrival at Alfriston Works had been utter bedlam. Not only was Pilot bragging to anyone and everyone that would or wouldn't listen to him that one of his theories had finally come true,
Shut up.
but the chaos that had ensued when Alfred attempted to gain entry to the works to speak to Reggie had almost caused a complete upheaval of the timetable and had injured several workmen. However, overshadowing this whole debacle was the sudden and surprise return of Shaw, who had been spotted waiting at Alfriston Yard with a train of empties for Bloodmore Colliery, and later had surprised Ben at Moorland Road as he blasted past heading up the hill on the Mid-Wessex line towards Bloodmore. Oh, you bastard. That stupid, careless, unfeeling coward! Why choose now to turn back up again? He disappears for weeks and now he's back! And working on the NWR of all places, taking coal trains to Bloodmore. Is he a liar now too? You done bullying these wagons? Yeah, sorry. I'm just so angry! Understandable. Have a great day. Stan, why is he back? Why couldn't he just stay? Why not apologise? Why get completely embroiled in such a complete and utter farce? Why suddenly reappear? I don't know, Ben. I really don't. Even I'm wondering if there isn't some sort of ulterior motive here. It's not fair, Stan. How the hell do we tell Rook? We don't. What? I will tell everyone, and we will keep this fact from him. If Shaw, for any reason, asks to see Rook, we tell him no. Is that moral? No, probably not. But who knows what this kind of upheaval will cause to his mental health. But what if he sees him? He won't. He lives and works here. Shaw works on the mountain roads and, well, I don't know where he's living, but on the completely different side of the island. Trust me, we've got this. Stan left Ben thinking in the yard and headed for Retford with a short goods train. Ben wasn't the only one to react adversely to Shaw's sudden appearance. Rod was still haunted by the idea that his suggestion could have got people killed, and the return of Shaw had made his fears of being found out increase tenfold. He was jumpy, quiet, and kept to himself, carrying out his tasks with no fuss. Ollie had noticed this change, and one morning he managed to corner Rod whilst he was filling up on coal at Stowmouth. Come on then. What's up? What? You've not been yourself for a little while, and then Shaw returns and you're acting even weirder. Shh! You know we're not supposed to mention him down here. Rook might hear you. I don't care. There's obviously something going on with you, and it's got something to do with him. I can't tell you. But we're mates. You can tell me anything. I'll listen. I can't, Ollie. You'd only think worse of me if I did. Now you have to tell me. Rod sighed, seemingly consigned to the fact that Ollie wasn't relenting. Hypothetically, if someone you knew had told you to do something to help them get back at someone else who was getting them down, it wasn't supposed to have any malice or danger, but the person you told then decided to take matters into their own hands and endangered the lives of a lot of people and themselves. What would you do? Well, I'd probably be a bit miffed, to be honest. Do you think the person who suggested such a thing should feel some sort of guilt? Well, I think they should be held just as culpable as the person that carried out the action. Is this going anywhere, Rod? Well, kinda. Do you think someone put Shaw up to it? Do you know who it is? I do, yes. So who was it? We can report it to Lord Savell, and then he can go bring Shaw home. It's not that simple, Ollie. You can't be protecting this person, Rod. They endangered the lives of hundreds of people, and 3 engines. But I have to. Was it Wyvern? He's completely off his fucking rocker. He'd just be sent back to the Dexby Railway. An ideal situation for all of us. No, it's not Wyvern. But you could always frame him if it saves your friend from persecution, right? Oliver, I'm not that kind of engine. That's something Shaw would do. I thought you liked Shaw. Not if he made a conscious decision to endanger the lives of a lot of people, and now he's off working at a colliery. Maybe we didn't know the real Shaw at all, after all these years. He seemed genuine enough to me. Every con man is genuine until they're gone and your bank account is empty. I don't have a bank account. Yes, but my point is, maybe we're better off without him. We do have Hugh now, and he seems to be a hard worker, even if his Welsh ramblings are a little annoying at times. Exactly. Who needs Shaw anymore? Now, would you let me go, please? I've got a train to take. Yeah, I suppose. If you promise me something. Yeah, what? Don't lie to me. We're friends, and we'd never lie to each other, right? Of course. Ollie, I swear on Collett's grave. Excellent. Have a nice day. Ollie moved out of the way and allowed Rod to begin his day's duties. Rod was now feeling worse than ever. Lying to his best friend was a step he'd never thought he'd had to take, but if it protected him, maybe it was for the best. That afternoon, Stan was taking a rare rest at Retford during the day. He shared the shed with Hercules, who was just waking up after his trip home from Redwick.
Hello there, my dear.
Afternoon, Hercules.
What's the good news?
None to report. Plenty of bad news, though.
Oh, how so?
Have you not heard?
Heard what?
Shaw has turned up. I thought that would have got to you by now.
Oh, has he? Bravo.
I said bad news, Hercules.
What's the bad news about that? He's safe and well, and that's all that matters, is it not, my dear?
No to the first, and no to the second. He's working the Bloodmore coal traffic, Hercules.
He's doing what now?
He's covering for Tyson whilst he's in for repair at Alfriston Works, apparently.
I thought Robert had got a 7200 in for that.
Funny thing about that, Herc. Hugh is now doing Shaw's work, banking up and down Stobra Bank.
Run that by me again.
Shaw is covering Titan's work, which is actually Hugh's work, but Hugh is covering Shaw's work. You get me?
I leave for one night this week and the whole railway goes to pot. What is Shaw playing at?
You tell me, I thought he hated collieries.
Oh, he does. He's told me about it more times than I care to remember.
It's an absolute disaster, Hercules.
I take it the lads have all taken it very badly. How is Rook? Do I need to come down there?
He doesn't know.
And the others?
They all know. They're taking it in different ways. You fucking bastards!
How are you planning on keeping it a secret from Rook if everyone knows?
It's simple. They tell Rook and I set Wyvern on them.
You've been listening to Windsor a little bit too much, my dear. You can't just threaten them.
I won't be threatening. We all agreed it would be for the best that he doesn't know for now, so he won't find out. He hardly leaves Stonemouth anyway, so their paths won't cross.
You can look after Rook, but I'm not sure you can control Shaw. What if he just rocks up in Stonemouth?
Well, he's not made any attempts to do so far.
Just because he hasn't yet doesn't mean he won't try in the future. Maybe I should go and see him.
What use would that do? Every time you spoke to him before the accident, he said he'd change, and then just continued as he was.
Oh, very well. Now, that's enough about everyone else. What about you? How are you, Stan? Have you spoken to Dave yet?
No, I haven't. I don't even know what I want to say to him. Part of me knows that some of what he said was true, but I just wasn't ready to hear it.
I agree. Bride was extremely important to us all, but as he said, you can't preach about moving on if all you're going to do is live in the shadow of an engine you think you're supposed to become.
It's difficult, Herc.
I won't deny you've been dealt a fairly crap hand, but what will show your mettle is the way you deal with this. Come the autumn, I'm sure this will all feel like a bad dream. Things will have begun to heal.
You're right, of course.
I know, I'm always right. You can start by speaking to Dave, when you're ready, of course. Do not let a brotherly bond sour. I know all too well how badly that can go. Believe me when I say you do not want a brother for an enemy.
I promise I'll speak to him. I can't allow the entire summer to pass us by and for him to leave on bad terms. I don't know when I'll see him again.
Excellent. Glad to hear it.
Stan bade Hercules goodbye and made his way out of the sheds to continue with his work. The Night Owl's words, as always, had got him thinking and provided him with a new perspective. Although he knew what he wanted to say to Dave, he needed to work out how and when. In the middle of the island lies the town of Bloodmoor. Built to serve the colliery of the same name, which is situated on the slopes of Bloodmoor Fell, it marks the summit of the railways on the island. A desolate, wild place, Bloodmoor was not just home to the colliery, but to the New Wessex foundry where metals and parts for Alfriston works were forged, among other things. It is up here in this relative isolation we find Shaw. He wouldn't speak to anyone and spent his days in silent sorrow, only taking solace in his trips away from the colliery to ferry wagons to and from Alfriston. It was hard work. He was making extra trips due to the length of the trains he was able to haul compared to Titan. Shaw was already dirty from his time in hiding, and his trips with dirty coal wagons had done nothing to improve his image. A dirty husk of an engine, he reluctantly carried out his work in the industrial squalor that he now had to call home. Conflicted, he flopped from feeling like he deserved this banishment as punishment for his foolishness to feeling like he was being wrongly punished. The hours became days. Days turned into weeks. And Shaw became dirtier and much sadder. Summer rolled on, and on a particularly sunny August day, Hugh, a complete contrast to Shaw, was sunning himself between duties, his crew taking pride in keeping him clean and polished.
This is what it must be like to be a top-link express engine, regularly cleaned and polished. I could get used to this.
Just then, Rodley arrived into the station with a service heading for the junction. Hello, Hugh.
Bore da, Rod?
You look cleaner than I've been in years.
I know. I was just saying that I could get used to this banking malarkey if it means that I'm clean all the time.
Who are you saying that to?
Oh, no one in particular. Probably myself. About the only intelligent conversation I get around here.
Very funny. You don't want to start getting a reputation for talking to yourself. People will think you're weird.
I mean, it's not like I have anyone else to talk to on the regular. Especially in the evenings.
Evening, Hugh. How you doing this evening?
Shut up! bugger off if you're going to make noise. Go on, piss off.
Well, that's a bit rude, isn't it? Well, why don't you ask if you can stay at Stonewith Shed?
Oh, I couldn't. I'm needed here. There are overnight trains to Bank, you know.
Only a couple. You could always come up here on the back of the first one, push it up the bank, wait around, and then come back again.
Oh, I don't know, Rod. Seems like a waste of coal and water to me. I'm not sure that Lord Stavell would allow it.
Don't be daft. Have a word with him when you see him. You never know, he might surprise you.
We'll see about that.
Just speak to him. Rod left Hugh stewing over this idea and made his way along the line. Although he had plenty to think about, he made good time and was soon heading back up the line from Stonewith. His mood was soured, however, when on departure from Castle Stavell, he saw Shaw passing over the MWR bridge en route to Bloodmore Colliery. The sight of his disgraced friend, alone and completely filthy, was enough to make Rod feel all sorts of things. Pity, rage, embarrassment, loathing, and most importantly, guilt. All of this welled up inside him, till by the time he'd got to Retford, he was almost inconsolable. Are you alright there, Rod? 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 Oh, hello, Hardwick. Are you alright? Me? Never better, mate. Well, if you're sure. Yeah, definitely. I just... I need to see Ollie. Oh, what's up? Nothing at all. Just work stuff, you know. Alright, well, if you're sure. Everything's fine, mate. I promise. Okay, well, I'll see you later then. Yeah, I better go. Bye. Bye, Rod. Rod assumed that Hardwick was clever enough to work out that he'd lied to him, but at this point he didn't care. It wasn't his business, and he only had one thing on his mind. He rushed along the line, taking much less care as he went this time. He finally made it to Stonewith, where Ollie was waiting to leave. Ollie, don't go anywhere. Huh? What? What have you done this time? Nothing. Well, something, but not today. Oh? Well, you know the other day when I said I knew who put Shaw up to what he did? Ah, excellent. You're going to come clean and tell me who it was, so we can go to Lord Stavell and get the full force of the consequences of their actions upon them, like they deserve? It was me. Jolly good, we'll go tell Stovey right now. Wait, say that again? It was me. You... lied to me? No. Well, yes, but... Ollie, I was scared. I should think so. Scared of the consequences of your own actions, are you? They weren't my actions. Shaw did the deed, but who planted the seed? You gave him the idea. I was trying to help him. Help him? He was sick of Dave giving him a hard time, lots of sly remarks, putting him down all the time. I just wanted to help Shaw stand up for himself, get some confidence, bring himself back to the fold. Oh, Rod. I'm sure Dave all thought it was a massive joke, but he was making Shaw do all the work on the bank and putting him down about it. All I wanted him to do was to put the shoe on the other foot. I told him to do it on a freight train, but nope, he just had to do it on a passenger train. He had to make a big scene, endanger lives. Not just any lives, but important executives. Oh, Rod. I might have given him the idea, but don't you dare tar me with the same dangerous brush. Rod, I hoped you'd understand. You're my best friend, but no. Rod! Yes? Of course I understand. You do? Of course I do. I understand. Now you've said why you said what you did. Even if Shaw's execution of the idea was completely awful. We're all struggling. All of us. I'll admit it. Things went downhill as soon as Bride left. We've not had a chance to stop and take it all in, and it's just left us divided and angry. I've said things I regret. especially about Rook. I guess I was just covering for my own problems. We've all done that in our different ways. But what I don't understand is, why didn't you come to me earlier? I wanted to tell you the other day, but the way you reacted and what you said you'd do to the perpetrator just stopped me. I didn't want to be that disappointment in your eyes. It takes a lot of bravery to stand up and face the music like this, Rod. You're a good friend to everyone, even if they don't deserve it. Shaw, me. There's a myriad of different reasons why. Don't say yours and Shaw's names in the same sentence. Alright, I won't. But I've been a bad friend. I disagree, but if you want, from now on we support each other properly, right? Agreed. Now, I won't be telling Lord Stavell about this. Thank you. Because you will. What? You have to, mate. You can't deceive Lord Stavell like that. It'll be worse for you if you don't tell him. How? How will it be worse for him if he just lives in blissful ignorance? Because when he does find out it was your idea, and he doesn't hear that from you, how do you think he'll ever be able to trust you again? That goes for Rook, Ben, Stan, Hercules. You have to tell them. I can't do that. Not yet, at least. I won't push you to do it yet, but sooner rather than later, Rod. Or I will have to do it myself. And I don't want to do that, mate. You know I don't. I know. Now, we'll speak no more of this. It was silly to have such an open discussion in the middle of the day. You're right, of course. I'll see you later, right? Yes, I'll be in the shed as usual. See you later. Phew, that was intense. Let's see what the cathedrals are up to, shall we? How can you not support Alfriston United? You were built like 200 metres from their stadium.
But my namesake is Manchester, and my home shed is less than 200 metres away from Old Trafford. I haven't missed a home game in years.
Your home shed is Alfriston.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
When was the last time Alfriston won the FA Cup?
1953. We beat Bolton Wanderers 4-3.
Ah.
Yeah, that's right. Cope and seethe. Oh dear. That evening, the engines were just settling down at Stowmouth when a whistle was heard and into view came a large black tank engine. Aha! Hugh backed into the sheds.
Hello all, Borodar chi hyd.
So you did speak to Lord Stavell then? About what? Hugh wanted some company to stop him going mad on his own at Stowborough, so he was going to stay with us in the evenings.
Oh yes, he said it's alright to do it sometimes, but not all the time, so I'm going to make the most of the times I can stay here.
The more the merrier, I say.
So what's the crack here then, lads? Anything popping off? Any local seaside drama?
Not much going on here. Just enjoying this lovely summer's evening, that's all. It was an evening like that Bride left on. I'm always reminded of her when the evenings are like this. The other engines murmured their agreement and looked out to the bay, remembering that night.
Who's this Bride then?
The other engines looked at him, and then all in unison realised that Hugh had never met her, so they spent a good while talking about her and the antics they all got up to. Eventually, the conversation reached its natural conclusion.
Well, this Bride sounds like a right character, a real engine of the old Great Western. No wonder you guys think so highly of her.
She was a lady of fortune. Never another like old Bride, that's for sure. She was a fierce friend. So, Hugh, I don't know how to ask this, so I'm just going to do it. We used to have to be fairly careful with what we said around your predecessor, but would you be able to tell us a little bit about your time in the coalfields?
I'd be happy to. It was a huge, dirty place, and this was back when I was but a lowly 4200. I worked with a myriad of other engines, but my favourite partner was an engine called Di. Of course, there was lots of other engines that came and went. This engine, I mentioned him when I first arrived here, I think. A chap called Daniel, who named himself after our foreman. Oh, the poor man, he died in the Second World War. He never came home.
Oh, that's awful.
Yes, it was, poor man. Danny Shaw his name was. Daniel never recovered from his death.
Pardon? Your foreman's name was what?
Daniel Shaw. Why, do you know him?
Your predecessor, 5228. He's called Shaw.
5228, but that's Daniel.
You've got to be kidding me. You knew Shaw back in his days at the coalfields?
Well, if you say his number is 5228, then yeah.
So why, may I ask, did you find your time in the coalfields enjoyable and he thought it was a living hell?
An interesting question there, Rook. I guess he must have associated the colliery with Daniel and therefore death. You also have to remember it's not exactly the best work, even under the best conditions. It affects us all differently. If you don't make a good go of it, make friends and such.
But weren't you his friend?
Yeah, of course I was.
Rook looked at Hugh sceptically. Something seemed off to him, but he couldn't quite work it out. At the other end of the line, Stan and Hardwick were deep in conversation. I don't know, Stan. I've been wondering if I should put in for a shed transfer. A what? Don't be daft, I need you. The work I've got right now makes me run between here, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly the cheeriest place on earth right now, and Redwick, which is stiflingly unwelcoming. Not by everyone there, but a select few make the most noise, if you know what I mean. I can't imagine it's the nicest way to live your life, no. But where would you go? I don't know, Didcot maybe? There's someone there that needs my help, and I'm no good to him 150 miles away on an island. Is that your brother? Buck, yeah. He's been through some absolute crap, and he's making baby steps on the route to being better. I just feel like he needs me. That's so nice of you, Hardwick. This Buck is a lucky guy to have such a caring brother. Oh, I don't know. Listen to yourself, will you? You'd move 150 miles just so you could give him more support. Trust me, he's lucky to have you, mate. Yeah, well, when you say it like that, maybe you're right. Can't imagine it's been all roses, though. I guess you guys have argued before, right? Is this about Dave? A bit, yeah. Right, so, yeah. Buck and I argued many times, quite fiercely. One time we didn't speak to each other for a week. But nothing got or gets in the way of us. We're brothers. Nothing else matters. If you truly care about Dave, and he cares about you, then this entire situation will smooth itself out, and soon enough you'll be bantering about like your normal selves once again. Do you think I've been a bit harsh on Dave? Truthfully? Maybe a little. Do I think it was probably the fact you're stressed beyond belief? Most likely. Do I think the damage is irreversible? No. Dave isn't a bad guy, Stan. He's funny and childish and silly, but when it matters most, he's loyal and kind. And I've seen that in him for the short time I've known him, and I know that all those things I've listed are why you like him too. Would he be your brother if he wasn't a complete moron sometimes? No, he wouldn't. Well, there you go. Trust me. Talk to him. You'll both feel so much better. You can't keep this bad blood going forever, you know. Or you really will lose your brother. You wouldn't want him going back to the other Midland engines, would you? Oh, God, no. Right then. Find some time and talk to him. I'll even track him down and say you're looking for him if you want. No, that's not necessary. Very kind of you, but not necessary. I'll find him, and I'll apologise. Well done, mate. Man, it feels so good to speak openly and whatnot. It's been hard attempting to keep a facade up in front of Hercules and the others. However, with my normal Staten hat on, I have a suggestion if you'll listen. Yeah, go on. Do you not think that you could use your time up Redwick way more wisely?
Staniel has a planule.
Who does what?
Not Hugh. Staniel.
Anyway, yes, instead of wasting your time in the shed at Redwick waiting to come home, don't you think you could find a way to get to Didcot earlier and see Buck for longer? That way you're seeing him more, and although the situation back here isn't quite rosy, it will keep you from the negativity of Redwick Shed. That's not a bad idea, actually. I mean, I try to get there as quickly as possible, but I could definitely find another way. It's not far from Redwick to Didcot, and I could definitely get between the two in good enough time to run the service alright, and spend some more time with Buck. Maybe I could ask one of the nicer Redwick locos to meet me at the Triangle at Manifel, and take my train from there. I could cite any kind of reason I wanted then, and they'd be none the wiser. I'll run it by Lord Stavel when I next see him. Thank ye. Anytime, mate. You've helped me this evening. I'm trying to repay the favour. Hardwick chuckled and they settled down for the night. At Stomouth Sheds, the engines were all drifting off to sleep. After the surprises of the evening, Rod, however, was still wide awake. This new information, along with what Ollie had said to him earlier, was all rushing around his smoke box. Rod knew he had to speak to Shaw. He had to know what had possessed him to do what he did, and he had an inkling of where he might be. Without a word, and without looking back, Rod slowly departed the sheds, attempting not to wake the others. He made his way slowly and silently along the branch until he got to Castle Stavel, where he then made his way over the junction and up onto the Mid-Wessex line, heading east up the fearsome Bloodmoor bank. Having traversed the tunnel, he burst into the valley beyond. Bloodmoor Colliery stood lit up against the sky, and further light pollution told him that the town of Bloodmoor couldn't be far off. He crested the bank and made his way through the town till he saw a station in the distance and an engine shed beside it. There, in the engine shed, stood him. Rodley? What are you doing up here? I came up here to find you. I thought you'd be here. Although I don't understand why you're here. I thought you hated collieries. I do hate collieries. So why are you here? None of your business. What do you want? Leave me alone. Leave you alone? All you've done is be alone for weeks. Not true. I work with the engines up here now. They like me. They like you because they don't know you. Know me? They know more about me than you ever did. Do they know you're a coward? A what? You heard me. You're a coward. You haven't even once acknowledged any of us. You haven't come down to answer for what you did either. For what I did. Risking the lives of hundreds of passengers. I assume you've told Lord Stavel and the others it was your idea then? Well, no. Not exactly. Who's the coward now then? Shaw's voice suddenly grew in confidence. A shrill and clear tone that Rodley could only assume was enjoyment. If you hadn't given me the idea, you petulant little child, then maybe I wouldn't be in this mess. I never told you to do it with passengers, or for you to allow it to go so wrong. Allow it to go wrong? If David hadn't... This isn't about Dave. It's about you. It's about your actions. You decided to carry out the plan on the heaviest, most lucrative train of the lot. It's a miracle that the sparks from Dave's wheel slip didn't set the oil ablaze. You fail to admit that the entire plan was your idea, as a practical joke to get back at Dave for being an ass, on a goods train, not to endanger lives on an express. Actions have consequences, Rodley Manor. I am facing mine. It is about time you faced yours. Never. Then I'll never respect you again. I don't want your respect. I want you to grow a bloody spine and come and apologise to everyone. To Lord Stavel, to Stan, to Hercules, to Rook. Rod thought he saw a flinch cross Shaw's smokebox at that last name, but however quickly it appeared, it disappeared quicker, and Shaw then spoke again, calmer this time, softer, more deliberate. I'll tell you what, Rodley. I'll apologise if you tell them whose idea it was. No, I can't. They'd never speak to you again. You know that. They're better than that. No, they aren't. Ollie understood. I told him, and he was kind enough to understand. He'll use it against you at some point. They're all self-serving little gremlins, and I'm just sad Bride never saw them for who they really are. She'd be as disappointed as I am. At the mention of Bride's name, Rod felt a rage build up inside him. Don't you dare tell me what Bride would feel like! You have no idea! If you think she'd side with you in all this, then you're as deluded as you are stupid. Bride is 1,000 times the engine you'll ever be, and don't you ever forget that! Was. Rod was so angry and hurt by this one word that he was backing out of the station before he could even think about it. Don't you dare even think about coming back to Stomouth. You're not welcome anymore. Hugh has taken your place, and you'll never get it back. I hate you, Rodley Manor. You ruined my life. Rod blasted away from Bloodmoor, back down the bank, leaving Shaw seething in his misery, their friendship in tatters. He returned to Stomouth Shed, the rest of the engines already supposedly asleep. Ben opened a weary eye. Oh, hey, Rod. Where have you been? Mainline business. Get back to sleep.